I know that players want to cash out now, and those who have been involved in this league for 8, 10, 12, 15 years, they're like, yo, I've been putting in blood, sweat, and tears. I'm somebody who carried this league to this point. I should be able to cash in on where it's headed. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works.
So things could get very interesting come Friday. That is the deadline for the collective bargaining agreement negotiations between the WNBA and the WNBA Players Association. After everything that we've seen with the feud between Napheesa Collier and Cathy Engelbert, what do you think will happen come Friday if they do not come to terms?
We striking, baby. We on strike. It's definitely going down. And it's unfortunate because the league has built up so much momentum, and it feels like they were really on the cusp of catapulting into the next stratosphere, whatever that looked like for this league. And there's also all these other new business ventures that are vulturing around the WNBA, right? You have Candace Parker's Project B that was announced as a 5-on-5 league that I think they're going to play overseas. But then there's also the league that Maverick Carter and his Saudi team is about to begin for women's basketball as well. So this moment right now is incredibly pivotal for the WNBA and the NBA as well, because they have a vested interest in this, because the business that exists may be dissipating and going elsewhere, because there's so many other leagues that are willing to give equity, higher compensation, and these women do not care where they're playing. They want to play and make money.
Yes. And you know, you still have Unrivaled, which did pretty well its first season. They grew. They added 2 more teams this past offseason. You have Athletes Unlimited. So just kind of adding on to the list, which I think those are the winners in this, because they're just kind of sitting back, licking their chops like, okay, if y'all don't want to pay these ladies, we're going to take over here. And I can see a lot of ladies saying, I'm going to go play for Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart because we rock with them, obviously. But like you mentioned, it can get very ugly in this, because I could see a situation where the Players Association decides to strike. We don't need you. Yeah.
They're going on strike. Now, the one thing that is to the WNBA's advantage is that we are really far away from the WNBA season starting. So we're in October. I believe their season starts around June or July. So there's a long road ahead if, you know, while these negotiations go on behind closed doors, for the strike to never actually affect and impact gameplay. So there is a little bit of hope there in that regard.
And I just think that coming off of the heels of, like I mentioned, what Napheesa Collier had to say about the president of the WNBA, like, you would think that the league would say, okay, we're gonna not bend over backwards, but we're gonna try to give you what you want, because I don't see the Players Association taking anything less than what they're asking for.
I did want to talk about some of the things that they're asking for, and I wanted to know I wanted to know if you felt like there was anything that stood out that maybe you're asking for a little bit too much dip on the chip.
No, because obviously Caitlin Clark is going to come into play. Caitlin Clark is going to come into play. Angel Reese is going to come into play. All of these ladies that are bringing in a lot of revenue to the league that aren't seeing it. So no, I don't think that they're asking for too much. And we can actually get into that. So let's actually break down what the two sides are asking for. So the Players Union is proposing a system in which players' salaries are tied directly to the WNBA business, where salaries increases are linked to a percentage of revenue generated by the league. The WNBA, however, has proposed a revenue sharing system similar to what is currently in its CBA, which has a fixed salary cap and additional uncapped revenue sharing, but only if league revenue exceeds certain targets. So in either scenario, though, significant increases in player salaries are expected. But the WNBA is trying to protect the bottom dollar. They want to see some sort of profit before they start giving out these mega contracts, where the women are like, no, you need to pay us because you have not paid us before. And we deserve that because we are bringing in so much. And we have seen so much. We've seen this huge increase in women's basketball, and we should be paid for that.
So the thing is, though, sometimes there's lulls in business. And this league has been operating in the red for so long, but there was a point in time in which the WNBA was thriving. We talked about it earlier this year, just talked about, their viewership numbers, the attendance that used to be sky high, early on in the WNBA days. And there was a point in time in which that went away. And so the WNBA does have to put up some sort of guardrails to protect its own interests. Otherwise, if you're shelling out all of this money for these contracts and the business isn't booming, then you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position as a business entity to continue to go back into the red. And so I think the women of the WNBA need to identify that, yes, this is a very important moment in time. Let's document it and let's make sure that we get all the things that we want, but it may be more so on the back end. I think they'd be better suited to write in a carve out that says, if in 5 years we hit, X amount of dollars or revenue or profit, then we need to be vested in this business at a certain percentage level that is even substantially higher than the one that they're asking for now. Because I think this next 3 to 5 year window will let you know how sustainable this momentum is. And, while everyone is excited about it right now, who knows? Who knows, yo? So especially as players begin, because I have a feeling players are going to begin to defect into other leagues. So are your stars still going to be here? And how can you?
What I was.
Yeah.
Because and then even not even just the stars, but some of your older players, like they want the compensation now. They don't want to have to wait to see how things play out over the next 3 to 5 years.
There was a profit sharing that they want as well that kind of reflects the the NBA profit sharing model. And that is the one thing that every time I hear it, I cringe a little bit, because the money that is generated in the NBA is so significant, is so substantial, that splitting that pot, everyone really wins, right? Like everyone wins in the NBA split. But in the WNBA version of that, they're asking for an equal kind of split. And it's just like, yo, there's not enough money to break this down the same way. It's just, it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. And, I recognize the women are the bloodline of this league, but business wise, that's a poor business practice.
I think that one of the interesting points that I don't see a lot of people talking about is the women or the young ladies that are in college, right? We talked about that last season where we were like, okay, some of your top players are going to just stay in college because they're waiting on this new CBA, excuse me. And so if they don't get that, then I could see some of the top players saying, I'm going to take a grad season, or I'm going to continue to stay in college until y'all kind of figure out what you want to do.
Well, the college women's players, they have to stay in college for 4 years. So
right, but I'm saying you could still say, like, if it was time for you to come out, if you've done your 4 years, then maybe you could do a grad year or something like that. I don't know. Okay. But I'm just saying, like, I could see them saying, I'm just going to stay, just like we're seeing in men's basketball or in football or whatever, because you're making so much money at the collegiate level through NIL that they're not going to be making in the league.
Yeah.
Because there might be this situation with the CBA.
Yeah. There's greed on both sides. There's optimism on both sides, which I also think is really healthy for both parties. I think both sides recognize that there's a lot of growth opportunity that exists in the WNBA. But for the players, some of them are going to have to realize they're not going to be the beneficiaries of this swing in momentum. It's just not going to happen. Like, Charles Barkley didn't make as much money as Zion Williamson. Zion been in the league for 6 years. Like, that's just a byproduct of time going on and money increasing in leagues. And so I know that players want to cash out now, and those who have been involved in this league for 8, 10, 12, 15 years, they're like, yo, I've been putting in blood, sweat, and tears. I'm somebody who carried this league to this point. I should be able to cash in on where it's headed. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works. That's just not how the business works. And so some of those players are going to have to relinquish their own ego to help the greater good of this league if they want this league to exist and thrive and survive. But like we said, there are going to be other opportunities out there for these women to play basketball professionally.
And if they don't feel like the league really has their back, they don't feel like the league has a leader that is really for them, that has said disparaging things about them, behind closed doors, why do you want this league to have success? Why shouldn't I take my talents to South Beach, literally, and go play for Unrivaled?
Are they moving? I think they're moving Unrivaled.
I think they're going to play like a few different cities this season. But yes, they're continuously growing, and that's just one of the leagues. Because when the
Man,
Saudis come in, it might be a wrap.
let me tell
So,
you, baby, they got hire me right now. I'm out of here. I'll be fumbling in Dublin. No,
no,
that was hate.
no.
That was hate. The last point that I want to make, I'm sure you have some more, or maybe you have some more that you would like to make. The one thing that these players will not get in any other league is the visibility that the WNBA provides them. And, you know, shame on how Kathy Engelbert framed it when talking about Caitlin Clark, according to Napheesa Collier. But there is some legitimacy to what she said. The media rights deal that the WNBA has by virtue of being the official NBA affiliate allows for these women to be on network television and all the platforms that the NBA is on. And I think these other leagues, very similar to, like, even though Unrivaled had a great year, it wasn't that visible for me, even though it was on TNT. Like, my channel doesn't naturally just go there. I'm never watching that channel, or the Big Three, for instance, right? Like, Ice Cube has a gold mine in the Big Three, but we don't see any of it. We don't even see the highlights on ESPN. And so there is a bit of, illegitimacy that exists in these other leagues that will not receive the same sort of coverage and media participation. And I think that can be to the detriment of some of their off-court endeavors. So that's something to also take into consideration, even with these new leagues beginning to form.
Yeah, but if you don't have the superstars, so let's speak hypothetically. If Caitlin Clark says, if everybody's striking and Caitlin Clark's playing for Unrivaled, you don't think people are going to be talking about Unrivaled? You don't think people are going to be showing Unrivaled highlights?
I mean, we had Allen Iverson play in the Big Three, and I don't think anybody watched.
Okay, but that is like well after.
But no, but he's Allen Iverson. He's an icon. But I just mean
accessibility.
Accessibility does taper people's interest. If I have to go too far out of my way to find you or to find the thing, that I don't really want it anymore, especially as lazy as audiences are nowadays. Like, I don't want to have to go too far outside of my norm in order to watch something.
So you don't think that there's going to be a situation where, if that happens, that a network will say, okay, we're striking a deal today?
Yeah, potentially. Okay. But I also know that some of these media rights deals are in place for the next 10 to 15 years. I think the recent NBA media deal that just got constructed is locked in for that amount of time. I don't know what Unrivaled's deal is with TNT. I'm just saying, what are the other media outlets? Because the whole thing is shrinking. What do you want to be on? OWN? I don't know. Like, what are the networks that you can?
I'll be watching OWN now.
Yeah, no disrespect to OWN. Shout out to Oprah. I'm actually going to a taping of the Oprah Winfrey Show in November. I'm excited about that. It's for Black men, Black power. But yeah, there aren't many other outlets, for these women to take their leagues to. So I don't know. Is it CBS? I don't really watch. I don't know. It's tricky, man.
Right now, the landscape is changing. With the WNBA, you had to watch them on ION, and you're sitting up here trying to find ION.
And that is,
and so okay, all right, and that's the W.
Okay, but is NBC, is ESPN? Do they value the product in a way that's going to make them want to partner up and have to give premium time slots to this league that they may not believe in like that? When I can go out and I can, I don't know, I have NASCAR, I have Formula One, I have tennis, which is on the rise. Like, there's so many other entities that have motion and interest and intrigue as well. And so I'm just saying, I hope everybody wins.
More so I don't think it's the league itself. I think they have interest in particular players. And I think that that's where you would have an opportunity to negotiate.
As much as the world loves Caitlin Clark, nobody's giving out $1 billion media rights deal just because Caitlin Clark is in the league. Like, that's just it's not realistic, because you're not going to only be able to show Indiana Fever games. You're going to have to diversify a little bit. I mean, the Lakers are the Lakers, but the Lakers ain't on TV every single night, So I don't know. There's not enough superstars to warrant the thing that you're talking about, but we'll see what happens. We were talking in circles. And again, I don't want to sound negative. These are just conversations that I want to have about the potential issues that may come up. But we'll see. Ultimately, these women are extremely talented, and there's a huge opportunity window right now, and I hope they cash the hell out. I hope they cash the hell out for real. Y'all let us know your thoughts on the potential strike in the WNBA. Do you feel like this is going to stop all the momentum the league has built up over the last 2 or 3 years? And if so, does that mean these additional leagues are now going to be able to start picking off different pieces and parts of the league? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section.
And we still have that link in our description box for our newsletter. We have you covered with all of the latest and greatest happening in sports right now.